But for now, let's look back over the history of the European Union and the UK's relations. The UK did hold a referendum on its place in Europe back in 1975. We can look at where things have moved on since then, where the UK stands within Europe today, where it might stand tomorrow, with Guntram Wolff, who's director of the Brussels-based economic think tank Bruegel, joining us on the line from Brussels. Thanks for being with us. Now, Europe's leaders seem to be unanimous in their desire to see Britain stay in Europe. This, even though Britain has always sort of been the slightly naughty child of Europe, hasn't it? It's often threatened to leave in the past. But what would the EU lose if Britain were to leave?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's true that the EU always had an uneasy relation with the United Kingdom, and this has lasted actually for a lot of time, basically since the last referendum. Now, it is true that the UK also has been an engine of many, many important steps that the European Union has taken. I mean, let me just recall that the single market is, of course, a very, very important step that was very much driven by Margaret Thatcher. And let me also recall that EU eastward enlargement was very much a UK project. It was also a German project, but also a UK project. So I think clearly if the UK was to leave, we would leave not only a liberal voice, a pro-market voice, a global power, a country that thinks really international and thinks in big dimensions. We would frankly also lose a country that would support growth and single market and anti-bureaucracy initiatives.
The economic arguments have come to the fore in the campaign. There is also the political side. Some voices within Europe arguing that Britain is a stabilising presence in Europe. If you look back at its history, particularly its role in the Second World War, this giving it a bit of a special status within Europe. Would you agree that Europe could be in danger of potentially crumbling apart if the UK goes?
Well, crumbling apart, I don't know, but I think what I certainly would agree with is that the United Kingdom cannot escape its European fate. And, you know, when it thinks it can retreat on its island, one way or another, the continental European reality comes back to Great Britain. So I think for Great Britain, the best way is to engage with the continent, and the continent certainly has benefited, and I very much reject the notion that I think is there in some countries that the UK has held back European integration, Eurozone integration in particular. I don't think that's the case at all. The United Kingdom has been supportive of Eurozone integration, has essentially said, you guys, you have to fix this problem in the Eurozone. We are going to support you, but we cannot sort of participate in the bailouts or anything, but we will, not obstruct you advancing and progressing on Eurozone integration.
And one thing is certain to happen, whichever way the referendum result goes. François Hollande has told us just yesterday that he's planning to go to Berlin next week to talk with Angela Merkel about relaunching the European project. That's how he put it. What might that actually mean, relaunching the European project?
Well, I think it's a very good initiative that France and Germany really talk to each other at the highest level. And I think relaunching at this stage really means regaining and reestablishing deeper trust among the main European countries, and in particular between Berlin and Paris. There's a sort of different views of what the Eurozone needs, what the EU needs, but there's also a certain level of mistrust that the other partner will actually deliver on promises, and that is really mutual. It's visible on both sides, and I really think this is the issue that needs to be fixed, and it's best fixed by dialogue and, of course, by action in both countries.
All right, thanks so much for giving us your thoughts. Guntram Wolff, director of the Bruegel think tank based in Brussels. And we can return to Doug.